Welcome to St. Mark Family Youth and Children Time. Today, we get to hear how Jesus started to gather his disciples. Oh, I love this story. I can only imagine what it felt like to have Jesus walk up and ask me to follow.
That's cool. Would you have followed him?
Yeah, I'd like to think so.
But you didn't even know who Jesus was, right? That'd be really brave.
Yeah. Hey, why don't we read the story and let me think about that a bit? So today we're going to hear from the Holy Gospel according to Luke, chapter 5, verses 1 to 11.
One day, Jesus was standing by a big lake, teaching a crowd of people about God. So many people wanted to hear Jesus speak that the crowd kept getting closer and closer. Nearby, some fishermen were cleaning their nets after a long night of fishing. Jesus saw two boats and stepped into one that belonged to a man named Simon. Jesus asked Simon to push the boat out a little so he could teach from there. Simon did as Jesus asked, and Jesus taught the people from the boat. When Jesus finished teaching, he turned to Simon and said, "Go out into the deep water and throw your nets in to catch some fish." Simon sighed, "Master, we fished all night and didn't catch anything. But because you say so, I'll do it." As soon as they put their nets into the water, something amazing happened. There were so many fish that the nets started breaking. Simon and his friends waved to their fishing partners, James and John, to come help. Soon both boats were so full of fish that they began to sink. Simon was so amazed that he fell to his knees in front of Jesus and said, "Lord, I'm not good enough to be near you." Simon and the other fishermen wouldn't believe what had happened. Jesus said, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you will catch people instead of fish." Right away, Simon, James, and John brought their boats to the shore. They left everything behind and followed Jesus.
Well, did you think about it? Would you have followed Jesus? Would you have dropped your nets and left with him?
Oh, that's so hard. I think I would.
I think I'd be scared to follow. And how did Jesus know who to ask?
Oh, well, I can answer that. You see, Jesus knew who his disciples would be because he was following God's plan. When Jesus called Simon Peter, James and John and the other disciples, he wasn't just picking random people. He knew their hearts and what they would become. Even before they understood who he truly was, he saw their potential.
Wow. So is he like Santa and is watching us and keeping score to make sure we're nice?
No, Jesus is not keeping score like Santa. Santa's story talks about keeping track of who's naughty or nice. But Jesus is full of love, grace, and forgiveness. He doesn't base his love on us for how good we are. Instead, he loves us unconditionally, no matter what. Would you like to hear a story?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. On the edge of a quiet fishing village, young Levi watched the fishermen pull their boats ashore every evening. The smell of salt water filled the air, and the sound of laughter and hard work made his heart race. Levi's neighbor, Simon, was the strongest and most respected fisherman in the village, and Levi wanted to be just like him. Each day, Levi ran down to the shore eager to help, but the fishermen always shook their heads. "Oh, you're too small, Levi," said one. "Oh, you'll get tangled in the nets," laughed another. "Go play with the other children," Simon said kindly. "This work is for grown-ups." Levi tried to help anyway. He tugged at the heavy nets, but they barely moved. He carried fish baskets, but they tipped over. He even tried to climb into Simon's boat, only to slip and fall back into the sand. No matter how hard he tried, everyone said the same thing. "You're just too little." One evening, Levi sat on the rocks by the shore, feeling small and useless. He hugged his knees and stared at the horizon, wondering if he would ever be a fisherman. A gentle voice spoke behind him. "Why are you so sad, Levi?" Levi turned and saw a man he didn't recognize. He had kind eyes and a warm smile that made Levi feel safe. "I want to be a fisherman," Levi said quietly, "but I'm too little. I'm always in the way." The man knelt down beside him. "Do you know who I am?" Levi shook his head. "I'm Jesus. I know every star in the sky and every grain of sand on this beach. And I know you, Levi. One day you'll grow, and you'll be a great fisherman. You'll catch more fish, and you'll help bring people closer to God." Levi's eyes grew wide. "Really? You think I can be a great fisherman?" Jesus smiled. "I know it, but for now there's something very important you can do." "What's that?" Levi asked, his voice eager. "Learn to mend the nets," Jesus said. "It may not seem exciting, but it's just as important as catching the fish. Every great fisherman needs strong nets." Levi's heart swelled with hope. He ran to Simon and the other fishermen. "Can you teach me to mend the nets?" Simon raised an eyebrow but then smiled. "If you're serious, Levi, we'll show you." From that day on, Levi learned to tie knots, patch holes, and make the net strong again. He smiled until his small hands moved as quickly as Simon's. The fishermen began to see how helpful he could be, and they started letting him join in more and more. Years later, Levi grew into a strong young man, just as Jesus said he would. He became not only a great fisherman, but also someone who helped others find hope, joy, and faith, just like Jesus had done for him. And every time Levi pulled in a net full of fish, he thought about that day on the shore when Jesus promised he would grow, and he smiled. So just like Jesus knew his disciples, he knew Levi, and he knows us too. He has a special plan for each of us, even when we feel like we're not good enough. So just like he helped Levi build confidence and grow in his faith, he will help us when we follow him. Amen.